Okay, we're going to get started. John Kuttin here. Thought it'd be appropriate to first formally introduce myself. Again, my name is John Kuttin. I have been in the financial services industry since 1994. I'm a Barron's Hall of Fame advisor. Been lucky enough to get lots of accolades. As a practitioner, my firm has well in excess of $1 billion of assets under management. We do well in excess of 15 million or so of annual revenue each and every year. And really, above all, what I really enjoy doing is coaching. So I'm a leadership guy. I gave up my book of business, I guess, about a decade ago or so, maybe even a little bit longer than that. And really, what I do is we've all heard, the term or the suggestion to not spend all your time working in the business, but spend some of your time working on the business. I kind of took that quite literally, and I really spent all of my time working on the business, looking to develop my people, my advisors, my staff, my paraplanners, my business development team, and really looking to build the culture and the organization as a whole, more of a CEO mindset than as a practitioner mindset. And I believe that I have this saying: "What got you here won't get you there." And when you think about that, it makes a lot of sense, right? It's really hard to grow a business past $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, and basically what got you to $500,000 isn't the same work that will get you to $1 million. What got you to $1 million won't be the same work to get you to 2 and 4 and 6 and 10, etc. So, with that being said, there's been some real keys to the success that we've been able to have in our financial planning practice. And my number one kind of calling as a leader is to help other people, right? So I like to take what I'm kind of good at and what I've figured out in my own practice, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of helping advisors grow and ultimately achieve their goals. So that's why I built this program. I built a program that is really a system and a process that basically takes a lot of the guesswork of how to actually partner with CPA firms. So the purpose of today is I'm just going to spend 15 or 20 minutes giving you a brief overview of kind of who Kuttin Consulting Group is, how we operate, and ultimately how I believe what we hopefully teach could be valuable to you as an advisor. My hope is that you'll take some time to dive a little bit deeper into the program and talk to one of the guys or gals on the team who can walk you through some of the nitty gritty. But when you think about it, most advisors are quite good at being an advisor, giving advice, at managing assets, at serving clients, building what I like to call deep, meaningful relationships. Everyone has the same issue, or many advisors, I should say, do, and the issue is, how do I get more clients, right? And I don't necessarily think that myself or my team of advisors is significantly doing anything significantly different than most of you listening in today. Most of us do a really good job. We care about our clients. I have a mentor of mine who has a great saying that I lifted from him, and by the way, his name was Doug Lennox. And what he always said was that a great financial advisor has the heart of a social worker and the mind of a capitalist, right? And I believe that to be very true. Most financial advisors care very much about their clients. The problem is they spend so much time taking care of those clients that they don't have the time to be more of a capitalist and actually think about how to grow their business. And what I've been able to do, which I think has been one of the keys to our firm's success, is to kind of get out of the weeds, step away, and look in and say, really, once you have a system and process to serve clients, it's quite simple to give a consistent experience to clients, right? And to actually give them more than what they ultimately expect. Problem most advisors have is they just simply don't have enough clients and don't have a mechanism in place to continue to bring qualified prospects into their conference room, or in today's world, maybe meeting with them virtually. And that's, from my perspective, there's really 3 ways to really create what I like to call quantum growth in a business. And of course, everything works if you work it. So cold calling worked back in the day, dinner seminars worked, networking groups work, referral events, asking for referrals and introductions, all that works, and we do many of those things in our business. But my belief is these three areas are really how you create quantum growth and create a lot of leverage, strategic leverage, in how to grow your business so that you can help more people do what it is you do, i.e., give great financial advice and guidance to your clientele. So those three things are simply acquisitions, right? So succession planning, acquiring other advisors' practices is one of the greatest ways to build a business. You can take someone else's 10 or 20 or 30 or more years of work. They may have built a 50 or 100 or even larger book of business, and you get to write a check, take on that 20 or 30 years worth of their hard work to build the business, and now you get to absorb that into your practice, whether it be a merger or an acquisition, and now you have a larger client base and you have more assets. The problem is, as most of you know, is there's a lot more buyers out there today than there are sellers, and it's a very competitive marketplace in order to win those opportunities. And quite frankly, you need to have capital, right? So you need to take some risk and have the capital, the borrowing power in order to execute, and a team large enough to take on that business immediately and be able to deliver on your value proposition. So it's a great way. We love to acquire practices. We do a fair amount of it here on our practice, and we're always looking for opportunities like that. But it's again, it's an acquired opportunity or acquired skill. Not everyone has the ability to do that right now, and it's really not controllable. You can't control, in my opinion at least, that you're going to do an acquisition this year or next year. It might happen. You can look for them, you can be proactive, but someone has to retire, someone has to choose you, and you kind of leave that as not a very dependable way to ensure growth. Secondly is recruiting, right? So I call it experienced advisor recruits, or in other words, bringing another advisor into your practice. He or she might have a book of business. That's a way to create quantum growth, right? They bring a skill set, they bring an asset base, they bring a client base, they bring goodwill, and again, you can grow and scale a business. The negative there, and again, something we do in our practice as well, is obviously there's a margin issue there, right? That advisor is going to expect to be paid. They either get a salary or a payout rate depending on how you operate. There's some cultural potential issues there. Are they the right fit for your culture, etc.? So again, great way to grow or from a very quick way, right, to add assets. But again, comes with some challenges, so to speak. And then the third way, which is really what I wanted to focus a little time on here today, is partnering with centers of influence, right? CPAs and accountants, namely. I'll say CPA a lot. Quite frankly, it's anyone who has influence over clients, but generally CPAs or accountants or enrolled agents are who we have the most success with here in our practice. And I like to look at it this way. As an advisor, as I mentioned before, most of us are quite good at what we do. We simply need more clients or prospective clients to share our value proposition and to deliver to. So when you think about it, I use the adage, I stole this from an advisor who actually went through my program, and he said he looked at my program as you could decide, John, to either fish with a pole or you could fish with a net. And that's exactly what we've done in our practice. So we, in my practice here in New York, I have a team today. We've built a business development team that really all they do is they partner with CPAs in our community. They provide value to their clientele. They lead and influence those CPAs so that we can become those CPA firms' outsourced option to provide financial planning advice, in many cases asset management advice, in some cases more sophisticated, I would say family office type opportunities as well, which on another webinar I might talk a little bit about our virtual family office opportunity through a subsidiary company of Kuttin Consulting Group called Hayden Rock Solutions, which gives access to CPAs to have a kind of a virtual family office to solve much more complex needs of generally higher net worth business owners or sophisticated clients. But again, if we could build one relationship with an accounting firm that might have 100, 200, 300, 500, thousands of clients, and we can actually show how our value proposition will help that accountant and their clientele ultimately get a better overall advice package, ultimately that's going to put us as the advisor in a really good situation to meet endorsed leads, right? And meaning endorsed clients of the CPA. Let's face it, guys, CPAs are the most trusted, knowledgeable advisors in clients' eyes, right? When I say that, that's how what the client believes, right? They trust their CPAs. They have a great deal of respect for them, and especially the higher net worth folks and business owners, quite frankly, don't want to make a move without CPAs, right? So we as advisors, which is a big part of what my coaching program does, is we have to start to think about or learn about how a CPA is wired, right? How do they think? And this is the real issue that we have in our industry, which is why is it that CPAs and financial advisors don't connect more? It's so natural, right? What we do should be together. It should be integrated. It should provide the client with a much better overall advice package. And truth be told, a big part of our program is really around teaching you as the advisor how to speak the same language as a CPA, because CPAs don't really know what we do. And one of the things I should share is I teach my coaching program with a gentleman by the name of Ken Serini. Ken's a CPA out here in New York. Ken was the first CPA firm that I ever partnered with back in 2001. And we've had a great deal of success. We've made a great deal of mistakes. Much of my program, which is co-led by Ken, so he teaches some of it, so you get to actually learn directly from a CPA, which is unbelievably valuable. But I always tell the story. The first coaching engagement Ken and I ever had together, somewhere in the mid-2000s, I forget, maybe 2006 or 7, I forget when it was. But we spoke to a group of financial advisors, and we spoke to a group of, I think it was about 40 or 50 financial advisors, and I kicked the session off and did my introduction and told everyone, a little bit about me and my background and why I've chosen to partner with CPA firms locally. And then I introduced Ken, and Ken, again, talking to a group of, say, 40 or 50 financial advisors, briefly introduced himself, and then he took a step forward. And here's what he said to this group of 40 or 50 advisors. He said, "Hey guys, CPAs view you as a financial advisor as a small step above a used car salesperson." Say it again. Ken said to a group of 40 or 50 financial advisors, CPAs view you as a financial advisor as a small step above a used car salesperson. So I'm you. I'm a financial advisor. Don't take offense. But the reality of the situation is that's how CPAs view us. So a big part of what we need to do, and this is what my program is designed to do, is to actually help you as a financial advisor build credibility in a way in which the CPA wants to learn about it. We can solve a lot of problems. CPAs don't know about our systems, our processes, how valuable we are, what our client service system looks like, what real financial planning looks like. I call it show and tell. Part of our process, we have a 4-step, we like to call it sales process, which one of my team members will walk you through if you'd like. But that 4-step sales process is really all about building credibility, right? And it's a step-by-step process. I like to call it painting by numbers, right? If you remember back in the day when you were a kid, you might remember painting by numbers where there was a number in each area and you simply picked the color and poof, when you were done, you had a beautiful painted picture there. That's what our process is about. We've basically made it turnkey, that all you need to do is follow the system, measure the KPIs or key performance indicators, and if you follow our training program and system, it'll ultimately work. But the first piece is understanding how a CPA actually thinks, which is a big part of ultimately what we do. And the best way to do that is to learn from a CPA that I've been partnered with, since 2001. And just from some statistics, Ken and I, like I said, started in 2001 together. Ken, he has a fairly large accounting firm today. It's a small tax practice. Back when I first started working with Ken, he had about 550 tax clients. And we were able to build over an $80 million AUM book of business together and bring on, I forget the exact statistic, but well in excess of 100 clients. And we still work with those clients today. And it's an unbelievably strong value proposition. So, the other piece that I just wanted to touch, and again, I'm trying to be brief here and give everyone a quick flavor. I want you to dig more into the details, at some point in the future. but is that there's really two pieces to the puzzle, right? The first piece is ultimately getting the CPA to say yes and winning he or she over so that they actually see value in what you do, right? I like to call that the hard part. The even harder part is then influencing them to do exactly what it is you want them to do, i.e. referring their clients to you. And that's where leadership comes in. So it's really a three-phase process if you think about it. One is we need to learn how to meet CPAs. The good news is it's really easy to do that, right? Think about it. You've got clients in your client base. 80% of them likely use a CPA firm. And when they use a CPA firm, you've got mutual clients. If you ask your client or suggest that you'd like to meet their CPA, almost always they're going to be very happy for you as the advisor, who likely should already know the CPA, to meet the CPA for the mutual benefit of the client. LinkedIn is a phenomenal resource in today's day and age, and believe it or not, good old-fashioned cold calling. And for most of you, you already have some CPA relationships. You just, for many, some I'm sure they're working really well, but for many, you might not have just been able to have the right process in place to ultimately build a mutually beneficial relationship and be introduced to their clients. So step one is, how do we actually meet CPAs? We do a lot of training on that. Scripts, role plays, you name it, you will be very prepared. The goal is ultimately, I want you, if you go through my program, the key to success, if you follow the system, is how do you meet with 2 new CPAs a week, basically for 8 months out of the year, right? You can't meet CPAs during tax season. So it's an 8-month marketing opportunity, really, to meet new CPAs. And if you can meet with 2 a week, what my background and my history and track record training advisors tells me, if you do that part of it and you follow the system, at the end of a year, you'll generally have 3 to 5 relationships with CPAs that are active and starting to refer. And again, we can give you some details of just how productive it is. And it's really, while slow, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes a little while to build trust and to kind of get that CPA where you want he or she and becoming a real true partnership. But once you get there, this becomes super lucrative. So step one is, how do you meet CPAs, right? Step two is you need a process, right, that is not, I like to call it a takeaway process, meaning we can't be salesy. We can't push the CPA, because remember what Ken said, they think we're a small step above a used car salesperson. So it's a credibility building process, and we go through a 4-step sales process that basically helps build credibility in a way that CPAs, or that it's been proven that it will work with CPAs and they will see a lot of value in your process. And then lastly, the third step is monetization, right? How do you actually get the CPA to do what it is you want them to do, i.e. refer their clients to you? And that is a leadership skill. I like to call it behavioral change leadership. It's the hardest thing, hardest part of the process. Like I said, the hard part is getting the CPA to say yes. The even harder part is influencing them to do what it is you want them to do, which is introduce you to their clients and use their goodwill, their trust, and their relationship, and transfer that to you so you can help more of their clients. And we do a lot of coaching on this as well, on how do you actually influence them, how do you get them to do what you want them to do. Once you learn that skill set, which is quite frankly what I believe is my strongest skill set, at that point you're in a position that you have built leadership skills. If you go back to what I started with, to me, being a leader is what growing a business and being a CEO is all about. To me, the definition of leadership is simple. It's influencing someone to do something that they wouldn't be able to do without you, right? So again, definition of leadership, influencing someone to do something that they wouldn't be able to do without you. If we can influence CPAs to help their clients and get them to meet with you, in essence, it's good for everyone, creates a much better advice package. Let's face it, financial planning, tax planning needs to be integrated. That's what's in the best interest of the client. The problem is the CPA is resistant because they have a lot of concerns. We go through the common concerns that CPAs have as part of our training and how to alleviate them. If you don't know why they're not moving forward, it's really hard to ultimately get them to move forward. So again, all well thought out. Literally over 1,000 advisors have gone through the training program. And again, if you work it, it is proven to work. It won't work with every CPA. I like to think of it, 1/3 of the CPAs out there are likely already doing financial planning. 1/3 are likely never going to do financial planning. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's a venture that they should get involved in. They should stay in their own lane. And then I think there's that middle ground, right, that you have the ability to influence. And by the way, lots of those CPAs who are already doing financial planning or think they are, or partnered with someone else, aren't having success. And we have a lot of opportunities with those folks as well, as they are realizing that doing it themselves or with a partner who hasn't been trained appropriately and doesn't have the skill set isn't working quite as well as they ultimately hoped. But again, prospecting, how do we get in front of the CPA, the right candidates, which we spend a lot of time talking about as well. Second step is, what's our process, right? We give you a 4-step sales process, scripted, what to say, when to say it, how to do what I call a show and tell meeting to build credibility. And then lastly, once the relationship is built, how do we actually form a real partnership so the CPA and you are committed to each other? There's a consistency in meeting on a regular basis, which might be the biggest key to success, meeting on a weekly basis. And then what do you do in those weekly meetings to actually influence and lead the CPA so that they'll actually follow you? I like to always say, if you have a plan, someone will follow you, right? So what we do is we kind of give you the plan, and it allows you to know step by step exactly what to do with the CPA. So with that, I wanted to keep this webinar or video kind of brief and just give you an overview, a little bit about who I am. Let me just share this in closing. I do this type of work because I actually really love it. I get a lot of satisfaction when I get an email or a call or run into an advisor at a conference and they tell me they went through my program, it's made a big difference, they're acquiring clients. I have lots of success stories, lots of testimonials, folks who can tell you they've been through my program. So again, you're learning from someone who's done this. This is not a good idea. It's a best practice. Our business model and the growth of our practice has been based on being able to bring on several hundred clients a year from referrals from CPAs and building partnerships. And that's what these are. They're partnerships that is good for everyone. When you can create a win-win-win scenario, this is really good for the CPA, it's really good for the client, and it's really good for you as the financial advisor. When done right, it works and everybody ultimately wins. And guys, right now, the CPA industry, for years, we've been saying this, it's changing. CPAs need to recreate themselves. TurboTax, price compression today with what's going on in the economy and the pandemic that we've lived through, or living through, I should say. When you really, really think about all that, the reality is CPAs need to become what I like to call more forward-looking, right? They can't look backwards. They can't just be a compliance-driven shop anymore because, again, those are basically being replaced by technology and lower-cost providers and people doing it themselves, right? They need to actually become business advisors, give forward-looking advice. That might be business advisory, which again, my company, Hayden Rock, that I'm a shareholder in, is something that you'll be exposed to as part of the training. It solves a lot of those problems for CPAs with the virtual family office and being able to use technology to provide business advisory services. And then also forward-looking is wealth management, right? So the CPA firm of the future, and this is any conference or any reading you do in the CPA world, is around CPAs need to change. They need to become what we like to call a 21st century advisor. And here's the key, guys. They have the relationships with hundreds and thousands in some cases of clients. They don't know how to help their clients. They don't know how to become forward-looking, and you do. You've been in the financial planning business, for many of you, for many years. Some of you might be newer to the business. But what we do is forward-looking. We don't look backwards. We look forward. We help clients plan their future. And that's exactly what CPAs need and are looking to do, and how they can pivot from lower fees that are based on completing a task or required compliance to becoming what the CPA industry likes to refer to, and I do, the most relevant advisor to their clients, right? Being the quarterback, the CPA, not us, the CPA, and that's what we need to enable them to do. Let them be the quarterback and let them ultimately be in a position that they can bring in valuable resources like you, right? You become their outsourced option for forward-looking financial planning, wealth management, insurance or protection planning, etc. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Here's my thought, guys. You listen to me for about 30 minutes or so here. Take a call. So there's an opportunity, as you'll see on your screen, to schedule a meeting with someone on my team who could better explain the coaching program. It's video based. It is consume on demand, right? So we're going to give you a link to about all in, I think it's over 10 hours of training. You'll get a training manual with scripts. You'll have access to coaching, group monthly calls. So there'll be a lot that you have access to. So we understand that you need the support as well. But it's very, 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 what's the right word? I guess the right word to actually say is it's very, very step by step, and it's a process. It's a very, very step-by-step process. I lost my words there for a minute. That ultimately, if you follow the system will ultimately work. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and sincerely, my hope is that you check us out. Take a look at the program. We'll go through cost and pricing. It's very reasonably cost from a cost perspective. We can break it down into a few payments for you. It is really, I've tried to eliminate all barriers, quite frankly. I want advisors who really want to grow, really want to change their business to be able to get access to the training and to the coaching so that ultimately you can win and build a thriving business with prospects that are pre-endorsed, that really, really want and need the valuable advice and service that you give. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. And again, please take a call with someone on my team so that we can explain in a little bit more detail exactly how this could work for you in your practice and make sure you're the right fit. That'll be the last thing that I would say is this is not for every advisor, right? You have to have some basic systems and processes in place. And the most important ingredient is you actually have to want to grow. You actually have to want and be able to put the time and energy into the program and do some of the basic activity. Like I had said earlier, if you can follow the system and make sure that you actually do the activity and can get in front of a couple of CPAs a week on a regular basis, we'll teach you how to do it. We'll tell you what to say, how to say it, what to send. Like I said, painting by numbers. Just follow the system and it will work. The only thing that we can't do is we can't actually do it for you and create the activity, right? So you have to be willing to do that. And if you do that, I really do believe that it will be a big win. So hoping you take that call with someone from our team, and I hope we get the opportunity to meet soon and we can provide some value. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed it.